Again, my name is Victoria Suter, and it's a pleasure training you. All right, so Blackline Live portal. What is Blackline Live? So this is, oops, sorry, my mouse is not working. There we go. So what is Blackline Live? It is a cloud-hosted web portal. It allows you to give you visibility on your workers and keeping your contact information up to date. Once you've had the training, the account is yours. So keeping information up to date, making sure the right people are on the protocol, you know, making sure you've got your users assigned to their devices at all times. It is really important and is your responsibility. Again, if you do need any help or if you can't remember how to set someone up, you can call into customer care and we can definitely help you. But this is what I'm going to be going through on the training today. So I'm going to be going through some assessing your account settings, your address book, device users, configuration alert profiles using the map, managing alerts, and location beacons. So what I'd like to show you at the beginning of our training session is a live alert in the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect my device, power it up so I can show you, and then we're going to give a live demonstration of an alert. And I'm going to show you the importance of making sure your devices are assigned to employees, making sure you've got your alert profiles assigned and all your information up to date. So I'm just going to wait for this to log on. And then I'm going to actually give you a live alert. That's just flashing, as you can see. I'm still flashing. I'm still trying to connect. Okay, so I'm just going to get my portal system ready so I can show you this feature. And then I'm going to drag my screen over so you can see it. There we go, it's my bump. It's going to go into a warning alarm in a second. Saying bump test you, pressing down on the arrows. Okay, but I should really be bump testing that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my latch and I'm going to silence it, and then we're going to show you in the portal. So I'm going to make sure I can see my webcam. There it is. Sorry, I just lost it. I want to make sure you guys can see me clearly here. Okay, so I'm going to pull my latch. Just going to silence it. Okay, you can hear it in the portal system. So I'm going to drag over my map here so you can see that. Some loud noise happening. Okay, so what's happening right now? So I've had an emergency event. So if you are self-monitored and you haven't purchased 24/7 monitoring, this is something that you should be doing, and you can also do it through your emails. However, if you've purchased 24/7 monitoring with Blackline, this is something we do. You must not manage your alerts because they're going to cause conflict and confusion for us, and they're going to disappear off our screen. So if you are monitored by us, we must at all times be managing your alerts, calling your devices, texting your devices, and things like that. So it says on my screen, would you like to acknowledge this alert? Now what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to move my webcam over here. I'm going to say yes. Now, as you can see, as soon as I click yes, what that's now going to do is give me a blue light. So the monitoring personnel have acknowledged it. I've got my blue light. Now what we need to do is follow the protocol. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to turn off my webcam for a second here so we can solely concentrate on the screen. Okay, so on my screen I can see that Jennifer is assigned to this device. I also have an alternative phone number that I can get Jennifer on, as well as calling the device. Now if I scroll down, you can see here is where I call the device and here is where I text the device. But what I need to do, if I'm responding to this alert, I need to follow the protocol. Sorry, that's my check-in on my other device. Apologies. Okay, so on the protocol, let's see what it says. Call the G7 device, etc. So Blackline would be calling the G7, and we're going to check on the user. If we're unable to get hold of the user, we're going to go to step 2, which is send a text message. We're going to wait 2 minutes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a template example protocol. However, we do have customers using this exact protocol. So we send a text message to the device. We can say anything, are you okay, escalated to manager, evacuate, whatever we can do. If we're unable to get a hold of the user and they haven't responded to us within a couple of minutes, we are now going to be calling the emergency company contacts in order of priority. So where do we find these? In the responder list. So we've got an on-call customer care team member, and then we've got ENA, which could be their manager or supervisor. Okay, so everything's set up for us to go. Then we've also got some gas over limit protocols in there, short-term, time-weighted average. Obviously, you know, watching health and safety videos, it's important that we understand, you know, we're checking the configurations, the PPMs, whatever we're doing there. So that's all in the protocol. Now, in order for this to be set up and be consistent and make sure things are checked, this is your responsibility. So how do we make sure Jennifer's assigned to this device? How do we make sure that the responders are in the protocol? And this is now where I'm going to show you. So the first key thing in your account that you must keep up to date at all times is your address book. So if I go to menu, go to address book, you can clearly see we have names in there. We have shared names. So if your device is going to be assigned to someone like me, a single employee, Victoria Suter needs to be in the address book. If you're going to have a device that's a shared device, like Blackline shared device, that also needs to go in the address book. So how do we assign it to the device? So if I go to menu and go under device users, because these are the users of the device, you can now see it brings me to a list of devices in the account. Now, we are training on G7 today, so I will only be referencing G7. So we can see that Jennifer is assigned to this device. If I wanted to assign it to someone different, so I'm just going to make that a bit bigger so you can see it, everyone. So if I wanted to assign it to someone different, if I click on Jennifer's name and highlight my mouse over it, it actually allows me to do something. So anything in blue on my screen allows me to do an action. So I'm going to click on Jennifer's name. Guess what? It brings me to the address book, and I'm going to actually label it Blackline Shared Device by clicking on that, highlighting it blue, and clicking Done. So now I've assigned it to a shared device. Great. If I want to assign it back to an employee, I click on it, and I can put it back to Jennifer. So that's how easy it is to assign users and make sure things are up to date. Now remember, in the address book, all my managers and supervisors that are part of this deployment, part of the protocol, need to be in here. So you only need things like name, last name, phone number, and email. That's all you need in there. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the alert. If you remember, I was telling you about the responders, okay? So where do we do this? How do I edit this? Where is this? Where is this right now? So I'm going to go back to menu and go to device users. So you should already have your profile set up. If you don't, I'll show you how. But if you go under alert profile, because this is the profile for the alerts. This is what we need to follow. So I can click on my alert profile straight directly from this page, or I can go menu, under features, alert setup, and then I can find that profile by clicking on my blue button and opening it up. All profiles need a name. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ensure that you have the correct protocol in place. We have template protocols, so it makes it very easy and simple for our call agents to follow. Okay, we can't have paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of things. We need bullet points, and we need everything to be slick and easy to follow and read. So what we will do, if you simply have, you know, a lot of things that you want to happen in the protocol, you would send it to your engagement manager, myself or Jennifer, and then we'll revise it and add it into the template so it flows and makes sense. And then you obviously have everything that you need in your protocol. So we essentially create and help with the protocol. You do not need to touch that. However, if you feel that as the months go on and you're using this system and you need to do a big drastic change to your protocol, call into Blackline and we can definitely help assist you with that. Okay, now we go down to emergency response contacts. Sorry, that was my no motion because I left it on the desk. So emergency response contacts, these are the people that you want us to call if we're unable to get a hold of the user. So where do we find this? So if I click on my add button, add contact, again, it brings me to the address book. This is so important why you keep everyone up to date. So I'm going to add in some more people in there. So as you can see, it says select a phone number. All I'm doing is clicking and then do the priority. So maybe this is the order of who I want to be called. These are the people that we're calling if we're unable to get a hold of them. Then if I scroll down, you've got notified contacts. This is an additional layer of awareness. You do not need to have this set up, but if you are self-monitored and you're not using Blackline, 100% you need this set up. But if you're monitored by Blackline, it's up to you. So what are notified contacts? These are people that you would like to receive an email or a text notification in the event of an emergency. There is no action required. It is just giving you an extra level of awareness saying Victoria's pulled her emergency latch. So you now have a notification and you're fully aware. But you do not need to call Victoria, you do not need to do any action items as you're paying for a service with Blackline and we'll be doing that. If you would like to add some notified contacts in, you simply click add and then add in those notified contacts, and you can just select them down and highlight them in and select SMS, email, both. If you see any light bulbs on there, highlight your mouse over it and it says, you know, this contact doesn't have an email address for alerting. So if you wanted them to receive an email, you need to go back into the address book and do that. So now I've set up my contacts and my notified contacts. Which alerts are Blackline going to be monitoring? We only monitor high emergency events or high gas alerts. If you're wanting to receive notifications on things as when your users are logging on and off, or if they lose communication, or if they have a low battery, you can do this in another profile, and I will show you that. But typically, we would set this up. Please note your engagement manager, myself or Jennifer, will be helping you do this. And then you scroll down and you add the device in, and it's already in. So if it wasn't in, it would look like that. And I simply add the user. So I want to add Jen in, click done, click save, and I have now finished editing and managing my alert profile. So it's as simple as that. Now, if I go back to my alert, you'll now see that we have more responders in there. And on the info, the people that we're emailing, texting. So that's why it's so important, ladies and gentlemen, to keep all your information up to date. Okay, now we go back to menu and the device user page. There's two more things I want to show you today, which is the configuration and then beacon setup. So configuration, what is a configuration profile? It's the device configuration profile, allowing you to choose which alerts you would like to be turned on the device and what setup and sensitivity settings and timers you would like to configure. So as you're starting to see, ladies and gentlemen, our portal is set up through profiles. So you create the profile, you tell it what to do, you put the device in it, and then the device follows the command of the profile. So let's go to this G7 configuration right here. If I didn't want to click on it right from here, I can go to Menu, Device Configuration, find the tab that I have, which is G7C. G7X is not currently out yet, ladies and gentlemen, so this will not refer to you. But here is my G7 profile. So I'm going to click on my blue square, open it up. And I'm going to wait for that. Now, if I want to just view everything, I can just select these arrows and look at stuff. If I need to edit, I need to make sure I'm clicking on the edit button first. And now I can go into my profile. So functions are all your safety events and gas sensors, self-explanatory. So I'm going to whiz through this, ladies and gentlemen. I know we've ran a little bit over. I do apologize. So on the function, you've got SOS. So this is your emergency latch. Okay, I'm going to turn on my webcam so I can show you the features that I'm talking about. So SOS, this is your emergency latch pull. Do you want it on or off? Then you've got your check-in timer. So I've got my check-in timer at the top of my device that keeps showing every now and then. And if you want to turn that on, you can turn it on and you can set up your timer. So I've got mine at an hour and I've got 15 minutes reminder before it goes into a high alert. So I'm giving myself 15 minutes. If I click my back button and delete that, it actually gives me a configuration 15 to 180 minutes. So the minimum you can set is 15. Remember I said earlier to check in early. You press down on the latch, you feel 3 vibrations, and it allows you to check in early. That's that functionality there, early check-in. I can either have it on or off. If we go down, some of you, we don't typically have the silent alert on unless you really feel the need to, because there is, you work in high-risk crime areas, dangerous areas, things like that. Again, talk with your safety manager, talk with your engagement manager, and we can discuss it. Fall detection. Do we want this on? Yes. Now, my detection is set to 20%. Typically, all detections are set at 35%. I put mine down lower so I can successfully show you a full detection and not fail on my training session for you guys. So typically, it's set at 35%. Now, the sensitivity is good because remember earlier I said if the device keeps going off and they're doing a lot of physical activity, you can take it up. So if I put my up to 40%, I need to scroll down and click save, but that's going to adjust my sensitivity so it's not sensitive when I'm doing all those high impact movements. Now, if I scroll down to no motion, you can set your no motion timer to 5 minutes. Remember, this is your man down time. So if I'm not moving for 5 minutes, it's then going to go off. So if you set it to 20 minutes, I'd have to be lying there, not moving for 20 minutes before it goes off. And again, you've got a sensitivity setting. So if I'm someone who works at a desk and my device keeps going off, I can move my sensitivity really high to make sure it's really sensitive to when I'm doing those smaller movements sitting at my desk. Driver safe check-in, we always want that turned on. Remember, if we're driving above 35 kilometers an hour, 22 miles per hour. Pending alarm, remember earlier when I was showing you the fall detection and it says press on the latch to acknowledge it. You have, in this profile, 60 seconds. So you can actually configure that as well. If you want to take it a little bit higher, you can. Then we've got connection loss. Do you remember earlier we had a warning alarm and we need to read our screen and tell us what's going on? Network connection lost. This is your device that's lost communication. We definitely want to enable that so it gives our user a warning alarm. But you can set that, you know, maybe 10, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want, or you can turn it off. It's completely up to you. Then you have your low battery alarm. This is the percentage of when the device is going to warn you that you have a low battery. 20% is giving you a couple of hours notice. So remember, you've got 18 hours. If you're down to 2 hours, it's going to warn you. So it's really important. If you want to adjust that to give them more time, you can. And then the available messages in the G7. So remember, to keep things super easy for the end user, we have pre-configured messages. If you feel you need to drastically change these messages because they're not complying with things that you're doing within your company, contact your engagement manager, myself or Jen, and we can work it out together and make sure we've got some messages that correspond to you. But these are typically what we've been using successfully throughout the years with a lot of our customers. Now we're going to go down to gas settings. Pretty easy stuff. You guys know your safety settings. So we've gone with the standard here in our portal. If you feel that you need to adjust things because of your protocol and your safety settings, that is completely up to you, and that is why we allow you to do it. But we are not going to adjust your gas settings for you. That is something that you and your safety manager would discuss and do. Now, bump tests. Remember, we had bump tests saying that we had a day or 30 days. This is where you can configure it. So you can configure it every day, every 30 days, and also the same with the calibration there as well. If I go down, you can now start to see some of the gas settings and sensors and things I have, sensitivity settings and PPMs and things like that we've got set up. So HUS, LEL, O2, CO, CO2. Again, these are what are set up as the standard. If you need to change it, that's something that you would do with your safety manager. Now, once I've configured my profile and I've adjusted things, I simply click Save. And as you can see, Jennifer's device is in there. If it wasn't in there, it would have nothing in there. So then I would need to click Add Device, find Jennifer's name, click Save, make sure I click Continue, and now it's been saved. So ladies and gentlemen, we went through the configuration. If you have several devices in your account, like 20, 50 devices, and you've got someone, you know, you've got someone, a department that's going to be using the check-in and a department that's not going to be using the check-in, then you can create a device configuration called check-in on and check-in off and configure those and then put those individual devices into the two profiles. And if you need help, give us a call and we will for sure help you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to end on beacons. So if you do not have a beacon, which is an indoor GPS location helper device, if you do not have a beacon, you are free to leave the training session. But if you'd like to find out about beacons, you can stay on the call and I'm going to quickly go over them for you. So what are beacons? Beacons, I'm going to just show you a couple of things here. So location beacons broadcast a unique descriptive name. So for example, if I'm primarily working indoors as an employee and I never really go outside and I've got 3 floors and 20 rooms on each floor, you need to know where your employee is inside that building. And typically we all know that we lose GPS inside of a building. So this is where the beacons come into play. You can have the beacon, make sure I can see it there, you can have the beacon up on a wall and you can label this beacon, for example, training room beacon. So when me, Victoria, comes into this room and I have a man-down situation, this beacon is going to pick up that I'm in the training room and my manager is going to know where I am throughout the 5 levels that I have in this building. So that's what the beacons do. So you've got a 2-part setup. You've got setting it up on site, and the great thing about these beacons is that you unclip the back, and this back bracket, you can drill it, zip tie it, glue it, whatever you need to do to attach it to the wall or tie it around the pillar, or maybe you want to drill it to a wood board and then attach the wood board to the wall. But then you don't touch the actual beacon, so because this guy needs to keep safe, and this guy you can definitely use. And then you clip the beacon into the back bracket, and then that will be obviously on the wall. Now with the beacons, they need to be human height, because if you do need to move them or adjust them, they're easily done. And then once you have your beacon, you simply turn it on. And you press on the power button once, you'll see a green light, and in a few seconds, it will go out again. But that's okay. It's like a lightsaber, just like your phone light going out. And with the beacons, they actually have 5 years of battery, so they last a very long time. So now I've got my beacon set up here. Now I need to set it up in the account. So I'm just going to show you quickly in the portal what that looks like. So I'm going to go to menu, and I'm going to go to beacon setup. So in the system here. So as you can see, we've got my beacon called training room. I need the address. So what's my building address? And then my coordinates. You can get the coordinates on a long and latitude map, and we can help you that as well. But you punch in those coordinates, and now what it's done, so I put in my name, my address, my coordinates, and I click save. Okay, great. Now what do I need to do? Well, now I need to place my beacon, because what it's done, it said, okay, this is the address, this is roughly where you're at, but that might not be the training room. So what I'm going to do is click it to satellite view, and I'm going to scroll in, and as you can see, I can move my pin around. So I know that my training room is roughly down here. I'm going to drop my pin on that, that's where the training room is, click save, and I've just now synced the beacon training room to my account to match up where it is in the building. If you want to add floor plans to give more detail and more information, we can do that, and we can upload floor plans so you can actually see a floor plan map, so you can pinpoint the beacon on there like that as well. Last of all, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you on my alert page here, and I'm going to resolve the alert. So ending, everything's been said. So I'm going to click on the person. So if you look on my screen on the icon, it's got Jennifer. If I click on that, you can see Jennifer, Blackline training room, because my beacon's in here, my location, my gas sensors, anything like that. I've spoken to Jennifer, she's okay, she's safe, so I'm going to resolve the alert. We would put something like false alert without dispatch, resolve the alert, and then the blue light goes out. So ladies and gentlemen, that was a lot of information, and I hope you found it really useful. That does conclude our training. So just to summarize, we went over how to use the device, we spoke about some gas, We spoke about how to keep, it's your responsibility to keep your information up to date. So the address book is the key, and then making sure your profiles are up to date. And that's it. There are no day-to-day tasks in your account. And then lastly, I just introduced and spoke about beacons, just in case you do have these set up or you're thinking about getting them.